Coming up on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, the referees, they're at it again with Kansas City. They get it done. 17-0 in one-possession games. We'll discuss that and whether or not the refs got it wrong. Plus, Dalton Kincaid is not getting the Mark Andrews treatment. Why? And an unlikable reason for the reason we're deciding on rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl against Philadelphia. That and more coming up with Hot Mic and Hutton and Withrow. We hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe. So did the refs do it again? The spot that everyone's discussing, right on the line with Josh Allen. Was it a first down? Was it not? You have two line judges coming in to, Chad, spot the ball. But one defers to the other. And on the previous spot, it was the far sideline with the line judge that spotted the football. And on the deciding spot, where KC gets a huge stop, and a great play was made, by the way, by the defender, it was the near sideline that spotted the football for Josh Allen. I've seen this where the two guys, based on the view, one will have it, one won't. And especially in a scrum like this. But we're talking inches. And we'll show it, I believe. We have that. It's close. But the play is made by defense coming through and holding the football back. In real time, I thought he was short. I thought he was short of the line of scrimmage, or the line to gain. But the controversy is who is going to spot the football and how it's done. And with KC involved, you know there's going to be controversy.
Yeah, in real time, I had the opposite response. I thought he got it. I didn't think he got it by much, but I thought he got it. And I'm just going with all of the hours of football I've watched when you see a situation like this, when they're not just completely stonewalled and pushed back. If you get to the line of scrimmage when it's that short and a little bit more, They typically spot it where even if it's a half a football length over, they go ahead and give them the first down. That was not the case here. It's unfortunate because it was, to me, a tough spot for the Bills, and it was put by the wrong line judge where they put it down. And also where it was put, there was no definitive video evidence where I could come back and say, well, they should have reversed it and given him more because the way the video of it was.
One line judge, though, always comes in with the hand raised, saying he's got the spot. And on the previous run, on the previous first, it was the top judge there that circled. And on a definitive run in by the line judge on the Chiefs sideline, it was short. And again, in real time, I thought, man, this is going to be close because I saw where I think it was a linebacker that came through and held the football back where Allen could not hold it over the line, which was a great heads-up play. And he wasn't even trying to strip it. He's just holding it to make sure you can't push it any further forward. I thought that was the play of the game. I did. It was a great
play by the Chiefs defense on it. I thought it was a first down. I thought they gave him a rough spot to begin with, and I also think that upon review, you're not overturning it.
No.
So where they spotted it and then looking at the review, I had no huge objection to the review being upheld and it being Kansas City ball. I just think in an offensive league and where everything's designed for offense, I don't have the stats in front of me. This is the eye test for me. If you ask me how that is usually officiated, it is very clearly a first down. That is 9 times out of 10 going to be, if it's, again, half the length of the football, whatever, they're going to put that thing down where it's going to be a first down. Again, unless you're losing ground or you're completely stuffed and having to move around. If you go to the line and you move forward at all, even if you're going sideways and it's that close, they're going to err on the side of it's a first down for the offense. It's an offensive league. All the rules are designed to help the offense, and that was one where they didn't help the offense. So read into that what you will. I just see yet another Chiefs game where the pivotal, huge call of the game just happened to go in Kansas City's favor.
Yep.
Now, champions make their own luck, all those things, right? A lot of the best teams in the history of the sport tend to get a lot of good calls along the way. All of that is true. I still think the Bills got hosed a bit on that one call.
And Kansas City, we've said it all season, and we've said it for years now. They finish games. They've won the last 17 one-possession games. That is the most in NFL history. and that's Patrick Mahomes in the clutch. This was a great game. I was locked into this more than I was locked into any game all season.
Yeah, it was terrific.
It was awesome. But I learned my lesson the last 2 years. I'm not betting against Kansas City. Period.
And Hutton, when it gets to the end of these games, and we've seen this in Bills Chiefs past, or great NFL playoff games, I love when you get to that like mid-third quarter with great offenses like this, and it feels like it's just a possession game and it's a shootout. You get to a certain point in the game, and it feels like, all right, how many more possessions are left? Because the defense is no longer stopping the offense. There is a point of no return defensively where I just feel like either because of fatigue or offensive quarterbacks are so good, they figure things out. You reach a point in the game where it's just going to be touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, or maybe a field goal. Who's going to break first? And that's the way I felt in this game. It's exactly what we wanted from the football contest part of it and how close it was down the stretch. But it's interesting to see how the worm has turned on the Chiefs dynasty to where now they're full villain.
It was also an interesting game plan adjustment by Buffalo. They didn't throw a pass across the line of scrimmage until the fourth quarter in the second half. Everything was at the line of scrimmage or behind it. Nothing downfield. And I mean, you could say they didn't have time. Chiefs weren't bringing the heat. You know, they weren't going to blitz Josh Allen, and they made Buffalo get rid of the football fast. I thought they took away the bullet arm of Josh Allen in the second half. That, and then you combine that with, you know, the ability to run the football and stop the run, and Kansas City did that too. This was a game, Chad. Where,
I thought Josh Allen, quickly on your first point, Hutton, I thought he was terrific.
He was good, yeah.
I also thought the start of that game was very odd. It's like he wasn't seeing things. You talk about where they went with that stretch where he wasn't throwing it down the field.
Right.
That first possession even, Tony Romo was making a point of that. Like this is a weird look from Josh Allen to throw in that one spot. Now, the one it was next level stuff where he saw the defensive holding flag come out.
Yes.
Where he pointed it out, and then he threw it into triple coverage. But even that one, I'm thinking at the time, what is he doing? And then you realize, oh, he saw the flag going for his team, so he took a shot down the field, even though it was into a rough spot. There were some things down the field that he was a little bit off on, but, you know, the touchdown pass on 4th and 5, 4th and goal from the 5, just awesome. Zipped it in there. And at first, it looks like the guy's wide open. Then you see the replay of it, and you see a linebacker's fingertip almost get on it in that window, the small window he had to get through, safety and linebacker to fit it in. Man, oh, man, what a game.
Yeah, Josh Allen, they stopped him on the run. 21 carries for 59 yards in the last 2 playoff games for Josh Allen. Second half, Buffalo 1 for 7 on third down. It was crunch time every possession for them on fourth down. They were fourth down, 4 of 6 on fourth down in this game.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And I don't think, unless I'm missing something here, not a single controversial roughing call that went Mahomes' way.
Nope.
I was definitely watching for that. And every time he'd start to slide, I was watching for. And I don't think that Buffalo even got close to roughing him on some of those where he took himself out of the play or when he ran. It's also a game where Patrick Mahomes had 2 rushing touchdowns and ran the ball very tough. So that didn't factor into it the way it did against the Texans.
That's right.
It's the spotting of the ball that everybody's talking about now today.
Spotting the ball, and then the odd Jim Nantz, there's a flag, but there wasn't a flag call on that play where if the ball is completed to Dalton Kincaid, there is a conspiracy out there that the NFL, you know, the fans are saying that they had a flag ready if the pass was completed on that fourth down play. Because Jim Nantz
said, I was told there was a flag.
From the sideline is what he said.
Yeah, so
that's why people are thinking it's, you know.
Does Tracy Wilson have a way to...
Not Tracy Wilson. There would be a spotter down there, too.
Yeah.
CBS is going to have a massive crew for the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And so,
I thought it was a little bit uncomfortable how much Jim Nantz wanted to tell us that he was told that it was a flag and he didn't screw it up. And I'm thinking to myself, Jim, you're one of the best there ever is to do this. Like, you don't have to explain yourself. Like, we can just move on. It doesn't have to be a federal case that you're the one who screwed it up on air. Like, everybody who's called games has gotten bad intel
and on the biggest
from
play.
someone before, and no matter what happens, it's the person whose voice is heard saying it that's going to be blamed for it.
Well, he had
but
to.
He really went over. I was told there was a flag.
Well,
we were told, the sideline told us there was a flag. And I'm like, Jim, we know that someone probably told you that.
No, right, but think about the circumstances of why he needed to say that. They go to commercial, they come back, and he reiterates he had to say why he said flag, because everyone's going to assume, if you're a Buffalo fan, you want to know what that flag is because the pass was incomplete.
Yeah.
And if you're
it was a huge moment.
And if Jim Nantz says there's a flag, you're like, hang on, what? And on the screen they put the bug up that said flag. And you want to know, okay, hang on here, what's going on? Why is Kansas City going to get the ball if there was a flag? We want to know if it was there illegal hands in the face. What was it? So he had to explain why he said that, why he thought there was a flag. Because Romo didn't hear that in his ear because he's looking around. You could hear him be like, flag, like he's looking for it. And he couldn't see it.
Romo said no flag pretty quickly. He said, I don't think there's a flag.
Yeah, I don't see a flag. And
so it was whoever was talking in Nance's ear said flag.
The spotter down on the sideline, but he didn't say the spot. He just said from the sideline. He has to explain why he said that because of the circumstances all week about the Chiefs. Otherwise, there's a larger conspiracy today because Buffalo fans would be adamant that Nance saw a flag that was picked up.
I'm sure someone still is. Hell, Buffalo fans are still convinced that Frank Wycheck threw it forward. All these years later, there's been scientists and physicists come out and show that it was not a forward. My brother-in-law is one of them. That's a huge Bills fan that believes it was a forward pass. So you're not going to convince a fanatic of a team that conspiracy theory does not exist. Let us tell it to you as people who have called games in the past and how I think Jim Nantz pretty clearly said it. A spotter got it wrong, told him there was a flag. He felt the need to over-clarify that he was told there was a flag, and he didn't see one, and that's all that happens. Nothing else is going on. Let me take this moment to point out another Chad Withrow football rule change I would like to implement, much like how I would improve the college football playoff bracket. Outlaw flag-colored cleats and gloves.
Yes.
Outlaw them. You should not be able to wear a garment on your – they're so strict on the uniform policy in the NFL. I am tired of watching Washington Commanders gloves and cleats that are the same exact color as a flag and Kansas City Chiefs gloves and cleats the same exact yellow as the flag.
There's one player. This has been a primary complaint of mine. There's a player on the Chiefs who wears gold, like yellow cleats. And I don't understand that at all either. I mean, I hate
it. It should be outlawed. And I'm going to give a lot of grace to whoever saw a flag on the sideline. They probably saw some dude's towel or glove on the ground that happened to be flag colored.
I don't think they have the towels like that.
But not a towel. But you know what I mean. They saw a glove or a cleat or something and said, "Oh, that's a flag."
Yeah. Again,
outlawed.
They should. It's peculiar with all of it.
So while we're at it, the other thing I want outlawed is ESPN's ticker. The score alert does not need to be yellow like the flag. That's another one that when watching games on ESPN, since we're in the flag mode right now, they flash that yellow score alert, and this could be right after a play happened. And when you see that in the flash of an eye, you're thinking, oh, crap, there's a flag on my team.
Because
here's a big play. Oh, there's a flag on. Oh, no, it's a score alert at the bottom.
Yep. So
it's just common sense things that can help a production.
I agree with you. It's common sense. They should. That should be easy to figure out.
I feel like it's like an episode of Seinfeld. Sometimes we point out the obvious. Like these are things they'd point out on that show that here's how we can help you with your business, but no one's going to listen.
Anyone that's making those massive decisions on what the broadcast looks like visually, they should be football fans in some way watching the product, and they could be confused on this. They should figure it out if it's common sense. Okay, so.
Did you see, by the way, the Open, speaking of how things look, the Open for CBS where they were showing like actors playing the childhood versions of Mahomes and Allen and
I didn't see
Cook.
the Open. The Open's always epic for that.
And it was really good, and they were playing Dream a Little Dream of Me, but they had the Kelsey brothers in old Browns uniforms playing with each other in the backyard, and immediately people were saying, oh, this is nice. This is the closest the Browns are ever going to get to an AFC Championship game. On the coverage was them in the
Taylor
Browns
Swift.
uniform. Yeah, either one.
Or Taylor Swift. So
pretty brutal.
What we're discussing, the wild controversy of Nance saying there was a flag down and then having to explain why he thought there was a flag on the field. At the end of the play, it's incomplete. And Chad, you're saying that's part of the reason because of all the referee confusion and the conspiracy theories. And last week I was all for it with some of the calls that were made against the Texans. Last week was also whenever we're all over Mark Andrews, and there's a different treatment going on right now.
Yeah, hot take coming in. Dalton Kincaid's drop, that was as easy of a catch as Mark Andrews.
Yes.
I'm going to say this again, too, on Mark Andrews. And I don't think anybody's really pointing this out with him. If he just catches it and falls down, it's not a 2-point conversion. He's trying to back his ass up into the end zone while catching it, and it's a little bit low. He should have caught it. I'm not making excuses for him. It was a very catchable ball that Lamar Jackson threw him. Should have caught it and then backed up into the end zone. But he's doing two things at once. He's trying to catch it. He's trying to figure out, good point, on ice, trying to figure out where he is in relation to the goal, and I'm sure he knows pretty well, being one of the best tight ends in football, where he is. So he's trying to catch it and make sure he backs into the end zone, not knowing if someone's right behind him, about to drive him out of the end zone, and he lost focus for a split second, and he drops the football. What is Dalton Kincaid's excuse? The dude is looking right at the ball, coming his way. It's not like he's having to turn and get it in a weird spot. Yes, it was a bit of a duck, the way Josh Allen had to throw it, but it's thrown to the vacant spot on the field, exactly where he's going to be. He's coming back to the football. He goes down to two knees, and it's a fair catch. I mean, he is falling forward on two knees. It's basically like gathering a two-handed fair catch with no defense on you, and he drops it. I'm not saying this to crush the guy. Mistakes happen. He's going to live with this the rest of his life, and he's going to hate it. And I'm sure he hates life today, all of those things. But he was saved by a bad spot in this game by the officials. Because if it's not for that bad spot, and that's all we're talking about, is how the Bills get hosed again, the Chiefs get the break again, and now they're going back to a Super Bowl, Dalton Kincaid would be Mark Andrews today. And I don't think that's getting a lot of talk, but he would have been the scapegoat. Not the GOAT, like Patrick Mahomes is going to be. He would have been the scapegoat for the Bills more so than he is, because people are so hung up on whether or not that was a first down in the sneak.
Yeah, and so I think that Andrews almost falls backwards into the end zone. You know, if he catches it right where he catches it, he's not in the end zone. But I think his momentum is going to push him into the end zone.
And he's trying to back himself up. He's giving himself that momentum to back into the end zone. It was going to be a 2-point conversion.
Yeah. But
the way he was, I'm saying the pulling back away from the ball as he's starting to back up, that screwed him up also.
It's the second time he's dropped that pass on that play.
I think that was as easy of a catch.
It was.
As Mark Andrews. That was not a difficult catch for Dalton
Kincaid's
Kincaid.
reaction, you can tell.
And John, I still am amazed that Allen, when he just threw that up for grabs and three guys are in his face, game over. That's either picked or he's just throwing it away. He threw it right to the dude. Well, it's been a huge game. They were already in field goal range had he caught that. And we're singing a different tune today if that happens. It's crazy. One other thing, too, on the sneaks, going back to the spot of the ball for Josh Allen, it was very telling that Romo and Nance, on the first one where he lost 2 yards, said in our meeting with the Chiefs and Jim Spagnuolo and their defense, they pointed out that every time he's going to go off left guard. And they had a plan for that on that sneak. You got to adjust at some point. That sneak was never effective for the Bills. And it was because Josh Allen every time had a tendency to just automatically go back and go left with the ball.
The only time it was is when he dove over the pile.
Yeah, and then he fumbles and gets the ball back somehow.
Right. I don't know how he got that ball back.
But even that was an awkward – it's like he got his feet underneath, he got the ball, feet underneath him, got stuffed for a second, then decided to jump and get 2 yards and nearly fumbled.
So the other point on the sneaks, they can put a chip in the football.
Yeah.
They're analyzing the data from they did it in the preseason. So if you want to be extremely accurate, and again, like they can find out and review a play fast. They can get that information. How does tennis do this? With the ball,
and you know
it's in or out. Like they can figure out the exact spot. I'm
for it. I don't think that takes too much away from the game because these spots are so subjective at times.
You can still spot it. That could be a challengeable spot.
Yeah, like go ahead and challenge it with the.
And then you have the exact call.
And we've talked about it before, but imagine with the tennis example, having that drama of the tennis review happening
on the big screen.
We're gonna, red flag is out. Sean McDermott's challenging the play. Let's go to the Jumbotron.
Yep.
And they show it to everyone. Oh, remember how the camera comes up? Oh,
and it's
boom!
right on the line.
And everyone's either booing or excited. Here it is.
And then it zooms
right
in.
here what the tennis looks like. Oh!
If any part of the
it'd be amazing.
The point of the ball touches the white, it's in. And they can zoom in, down to the fraction of the paint.
It's also going to make the refs look stupid in real time.
It's also
when it's like not even on the screen, it's so far over. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's actually 1.5 yards they missed the
beyond,
spot.
yeah.
We don't even have the ball, the chip on the photo because they're so bad at their job. They spotted it way back here and the ball was way up here. That's going to really make them look like dummies.
But so the other issue that will come of this is any call that goes for the Chiefs, because it's all. You've got the video elements. There's some faceless, nameless person up in the booth. I mean, we know their name, but we don't know how to identify them. That's deciding this as either the clock operator or the video review operator. If it goes for the Chiefs and against the opponent, it's automatically going to be conspiracy. It wasn't really right there. I could see that happening. That'll be the most annoying part of it.
I think that's. I'm fine with that trade-off. Like, let's
for all the other teams.
People are going to shout conspiracy no matter what when it goes against their team, and that's understandable and fine. And sometimes there maybe is something. Most of the time, there's probably not. But let's just go ahead and implement that. I don't think it takes much away to it. But see, I'm against it when it comes to baseball. I do like a human strike zone in a baseball game with the umpires calling balls and strikes. I like that element of human error at times.
The human error.
I don't like it in football when it comes to the ball being spotted.
So this is a league, though, that doesn't mandate that the broadcast teams and the crews for all the networks bring the same amount of cameras to all the games. And this is a league where you can review it, but it's based on the cameras in the stadium, not based on the fact that the AFC Championship game will have a million different views and angles, and Titans Jaguars will not. They'll have the bare minimum to put a broadcast on. So but they are testing this. And it's something that the USFL did, and we're seeing it with the UFL. Why not do it? They've already implemented the kickoff stuff.
Standardize quality and amount of cameras across all NFL games, regular season. Then add a few in the playoffs if you need to, but standardize it across all NFL playoff games through the Super Bowl, and get rid of those damn yellow flag-colored gloves and shoes.
And there's not many of them. But the players that wear those cleats has got to go.
We just fixed some of the problems with football.
So, the Chiefs have been a problem for all the NFL teams, all 31 of them. And here we sit with the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. Immediately after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, Travis Kelce is talking about the three-peat. They've been focused on the three-peat. We're going for 3. And from Taylor Swift to NFL officiating, the Chiefs have all of the elements of becoming the team that we first love to follow, but then grow to hate. It happens to most dynasties every single time. The Patriots, the Lakers, the Bulls, the Red Sox, the Warriors, Duke basketball, and now it's the Kansas City Chiefs. But Kansas City continues to hold prima nocta over all of the other 30 teams now sitting at home this season. One more to go. And here's the weird thing about it. I want the Chiefs to win the game. Had the Commanders advanced, I would want the Commanders to win the Super Bowl over the Kansas City dynasty, over the first three-peat we've seen in the Super Bowl era. But bring on the three-peat for Kansas City, because I want to see the Eagles lose. I find them right now more unlikable when I watch them play than the franchise that seems to have everything go their way. 17 straight wins in one-possession games. NFL record. That's Kansas City. And I want to see them win again. Even though I want to see the streak end. But Philadelphia, just throughout the season, there's always something going on beneath the surface. It's not massively, it's not huge, but it's irritating. You have Sirianni going after his own fans. A.J. Brown, we know this firsthand here in Tennessee. A.J. Brown, he's not happy unless he's unhappy. He's always frustrated. He's reading books on the sideline, whatever. Anything he posts on social media, he's not keeping there for very long. and you've got different things going on within the game. They're a great team. They're solid, but there's something about them that just rubs me the wrong way. And I feel weird saying it, but yeah, bring on a three-peat and may the dominance continue for Kansas City.
Hutton, I can't believe I'm saying this because I was all Bills against the Chiefs in that game. I agree with you on this completely. I kind of want the Chiefs to win now. Here's how I describe Philly. They're bad drunks. If Buffalo are the good, happy drunks that everybody roots for and they're good with, I feel like Philly and their fan base is the equivalent of the mean, angry, bad drunk. Look no further than the guy who worked at the DEI firm that called the Green Bay Packers lady an ugly C word in the exchange where he ended up getting fired. That to me is Philly. Those are Philly fans. When I see that attitude and what was going on with that, Saquon Barkley is extremely likable. I don't find Jalen Hurts to be particularly good or compelling of a character in the Super Bowl.
But he's not. I don't dislike him.
I don't find him compelling or that good.
Yeah.
I don't dislike him. He seems like a fine enough guy.
And Saquon's unbelievably
It's just not someone that I'm a big fan of. Like you watch some people play, and I'm like, I'm a fan of that guy.
You start listing.
I'm a fan of his play.
Totally agree.
I'm a fan of Patrick Mahomes. Right?
Totally
I'm
agree.
a big fan of his, even though I normally don't root for his team to win.
And Saquon is fantastic. I love watching him play.
An amazing season, and I love watching him play. I love the way he plays, everything about him. But outside of that, in Philly, there's not a ton to love.
Yeah,
with them, and I'm kind of with you. I will say though that I defended Travis Kelce for a long time amidst all the Taylor Swift haters and
it's irritating.
People that just didn't like love. You know, they really rooted against love. And for those two to actually genuinely be in love, which I think they probably are, I've turned on him too.
Same.
I'm watching the post-game celebration where he's, quoting 1970s funk songs and singing and dancing. And then I think back to Burrow had my ass and all that. I don't like the guy anymore.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm good with Jason. Good with Jason Kelce. Go with Kylie Kelce.
And his late night show's not going.
I'm all right with Taylor Swift. I'm out. I'm more and more out on Travis.
We're okay with
Travis
Taylor
Kelce.
Swift because Taylor doesn't speak on anything. She's just up and she's like flashing. But the one thing that has stayed consistent is the Taylor Swift fan base is all about watching her on the game day.
Also, Taylor Swift's look of absolute shock and awe
every single time,
no matter what happens. Going back to her winning CMA awards back in the day when she was a teenager. The Taylor Swift face of
and the celebration
when Mahomes ran it in for the touchdown to tie it or whatever. Her face, and she's there with Mama Kelce the whole time. She's more likable than Travis, though. I like her more. And I defended Travis when everyone was like, "Oh, why is Taylor Swift with this guy?" Clay was like, "He's ugly. He's this. He's that." And I'm thinking, he's not ugly. He's a 6'4" in shape football player. I can see the appeal. If you're Taylor Swift,
bracelet to the
Taylor Swift went from these 130-pound meek musicians to a 6'4", 250-pound NFL tight end. I understand the appeal for Taylor Swift, but now I'm increasingly out on. And I was a long-time Travis Kelce defender. No more.
But you went for the Kelce who didn't act this way. You see what I'm saying?
He kind of did. He was like hosting SNL and doing.
Yeah, but he was different. Trust me, he dressed different. You see what I'm saying? It was a different era of Kelce.
I didn't like when he went and got in the face of the guy too after Mahomes. Mahomes had that celebration where he just launched the ball into the
I think he's done
backstop.
This Super Bowl is his final game. I think he
and then Kelce got in their face. So he's going to go out a champion too.
You mentioned the fan base, the
world champions.
Yeah, the opposite of Philly fans is Kansas City. That's another thing they have in their favor. It's the most likable fan base I've ever been around, and the most college-like atmosphere where they come over for the meet and three after we whip your ass.
Mm-hmm. I will say the diehard KC fans that have been there throughout. Great fan base, very underrated fan base.
Tremendous.
There's also a huge bandwagon element now that I don't like as much.
That's the Swiftie bandwagon. Is that what you're getting at?
It's not just Swiftie.
It's amazing to me. We could be at a sports bar and Kansas City's playing. If someone walks by, if a woman walks by, and they love if they're a Swiftie, they'll ask "Hey, have they shown Taylor Swift yet?" And I was like, "No, I don't think they have. Maybe she's not there." And then Sure enough, there's a score. They're waiting for a big moment. Boom. CBS has got it.
Let me give you an example of the bandwagon I'm talking about here. Not the Swiftie bandwagon. My family in Nebraska, I never heard a word about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh.
It was only Huskers, 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 Huskers. And then I'd have to ask people from there, are you a Chiefs fan, a Broncos fan? I'm kind of Broncos. Oh, I'm Vikings. I'm Chiefs. You got kind of all three in that region that people would be fans of. I've seen more Chiefs bumper stickers, Super Bowl championship gear, all of this stuff in the Cornhusker State. That is the example of that Chiefs swath of the country.
This is a great example,
has really expanded into a lot of different states and areas where they're now suddenly diehard Chiefs fans.
But this is what I'm saying about,
wonder why that is.
About the dynasty and how we transition from liking a team and being all in with the personality of that team versus then you get tired of watching them all the time. I did this with the Chicago Bulls growing up. Chad and I did this with the Warriors.
Yeah,
we grew
but
tired.
Then we eventually turned on the Warriors.
Yeah,
I never turned on the Bulls with Jordan. That's one that I jumped in the bandwagon.
I got tired
I stayed
of it.
in.
I turned on the Bulls whenever Penny Hardaway and Shaquille O'Neal were in Orlando.
Now, the moment Jordan left and retired the second time,
right
before he came to the Wizards, I didn't care about the Bulls anymore.
Right, but like if you're buying gear if you're in a market where you or a state where you don't have a pro team, you're going with what you always watch, right? And the Chiefs all of a sudden were on every channel. Broadcast across the country, and they were likable. I understand most people are going to say I don't really like the Chiefs anymore. Well, for another game, let's see the three-peat. So Tom Brady's going to be on the call, and you have the one quarterback who can legitimately catch him on practically anything we're talking about right now, including Lombardi trophies. Mahomes going for his fourth, and he's got to reach 7. Who's to say he can? He's 29 years old. Going for the three-peat, which no one's done in the Super Bowl era. Brady's on the call of Mahomes and the guy that's chasing for GOAT status. That's pretty cool. And who knows what the ownership of the NFL ends up doing with him calling games moving forward. But
I think at this pace, it's not just will he catch him, it's when exactly will it happen. I mean, I think by his mid-30s, he's going to be Brady and better.
And I think this season...
I think statistically he'll definitely be there by his mid-30s. With the early jump he got, I think with Super Bowl titles, he will be at least approaching it by his mid-30s.
I think this season, Chad, we saw what it would be like without Kelsey. Kelsey wasn't great this year.
No.
And if Kelsey, calls it a career after this year, after this game, we'll see. I personally think yes. Then, we see how Mahomes is going to act. They're going to continue to win. That defense is legit.
So good. And
legit.
And innovative. Schematically, what they're able to do at times, including that fourth down play where they rushed Allen, really, really good stuff. And we'll see now, Travis Kelce, co-star with Adam Sandler and Happy Gilmore too. That's going to be the next thing we'll see.
When does that come out?
Not sure if they've set a release date.
We need to check and see if the Sandler crew, every time there's a Sandler movie coming out, they're at the Super Bowl promoting it.
Yeah. That'd be great if he was there.
We need to see if the Falconers going to be there again.
Netflix is diabolical in how they pick their drop dates for their biggest things. A great example is Squid Game. Yep. If you thought it was weird that it dropped on December 30th, it's because it's such a huge American and international hit. They wanted to straddle Q4 and Q1 with people signing up because there are people who will just get a Netflix account to watch Squid Game, binge it, and then be done. Well, if you're watching and binging over the course of 3 or 4 days or a week, you get Q1 and Q2. The last part of Squid Game will drop, I want to say, in late May, and it's a day before Q3 to Q4.
Okay.
Or Q2 to Q3.
Well,
so they like to straddle with their big releases. Stranger Things will be the same thing. They'll straddle 2 different quarters so they can give that information to their shareholders.
They surpassed 300 million subscribers.
Yeah. It's another reason why they're very vague a lot of times about release dates. Just coming in 2025. Or coming in spring or coming whenever. Then it might be 2 weeks out. They'll say, here's the official launch date for this show.
That's fascinating. You mentioned drop dates. Liam Coen dropped the Tampa Bay Bucks to go and become the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was just after he dropped the Jags from an opportunity to coach the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he did all this. The timeline of this, Chad, is incredible. Never seen anything like this. He goes to interview Well, he's also discussing a contract extension to make him the highest paid coordinator in the NFL right now. He agrees to it after turning down Jacksonville because of Trent Baalke. That's the assumption is Baalke because he went back after Baalke was fired. He impressed Shad Khan so much that Shad Khan then fires Trent Baalke and does everything possible to get Liam Coen back in the building. Coen then is trying to decide what to do here. And there was a day or two in between the Baalke out and Coen in. And he won't go sign his contract. He keeps saying there's a personal matter he's tending to. His agent's telling Tampa what's going on here. And they continue just to allow him to handle whatever he wants to do. He then he's talking with the coach and the GM in Tampa, and they're calling him up. They can't get him to answer the phone. They can't get in touch with him. When they do, he's like, hey, I need one more day. We need to tend to something. Okay, cool, yeah. We'll sign it when you get here. Sign it on Monday. Hang up. Fast forward a few hours, maybe a day. There's another phone call where Cohen's like, I'm gonna go talk with Jacksonville again. Well, then there's someone in the building in Tampa that's got connections with Jacksonville, and someone in Jacksonville saying, well, he's already here. He's here right now. So he made the call from there. And Shad Khan makes him not just a rich, wealthy coach. He's getting double figures per year. I mean, he's one of the highest paid NFL coaches right now as the head coach in Jacksonville, Liam Coen, who has had, 6 jobs in 6 years? And, I mean, plenty more over his career. Here he is as a coach. Look at all these gigs. I mean, he goes back and forth, back and forth. There's no continuity with where he's been. He's been very successful. In the short amount of time, he's been everywhere he's been. And, by the way, Baker Mayfield, 2 years in a row, one and done with offensive coordinators that become head coaches. If I'm an offensive coordinator, I want to go to coach Baker
I love how
Mayfield.
he went from Brown and stayed in the state of Rhode Island, went to Rhode Island, then went right back to Brown. Right after that. Said, that 1 year with Rhode Island's good enough for me. I want to go back to Providence.
In between Baalke being fired and Coen being the head coach, Jacksonville, they were able to check off the box of complying with the Rooney Rule. And as Coen is being reported to be in the building discussing the details of a contract with his agent, you have Robert Saleh, who's landing in Jacksonville for the next day's interview. I don't know what that feeling must be like if you're Robert Saleh. He then becomes almost right at the exact time the new defensive coordinator in San Francisco. This whole saga is, and by the way, Tampa Bay is pissed. They are livid about this because they were negotiating. They were going to make him the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. They came back, Cohen's agent came back with asking for more money, and it's detailed in several reports. Tampa comes back and says, no, this is our final offer. Like, this is where we want you to be. Like, were you taking it or not? We need to know because other coaches we would go grab are taking other jobs. And so they agreed to it. And so they're behind the 8 ball in what they wanted to do. Interesting. But what's the rule of sales that I've always heard? Never, if you're going to make a deal, don't do. If you have the opportunity to get it signed, sign the deal. Don't leave it hanging because the guy can just walk it. That's
ABC, always be closing.
That's
another rule in sales that Tampa Bay should have been following.
Why couldn't Jerry Jones close a deal with anyone but someone on the staff? I thought this was the America's team. I thought this was a coveted job with talent. They'd have star power. You've got Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. And this is a gig that Brian Schottenheimer ends up with?
Do we even think the guys who played under Schottenheimer with the Cowboys are ecstatic about this move? Remember Marcus Freeman when he got the job and he surprised the team and everybody's chest bumping and going nuts and excited at Notre Dame, and that worked out for Notre Dame? You think it's a similar reaction when they trot in?
You mean the reaction?
Guys, I got it. I got the job when he walks into the Cowboys facility.
The reaction that Liam Coen got? Here's Liam Coen with the staff and the Duval chant today on social.
Is Brian Schottenheimer getting this same reception?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Hey guys, this is Liam Coen. Just touched down in Jacksonville. Let's get this thing started off right here. 3, 2, 1.
There is addressing the facility. That's a way to do it.
Yeah.
That's better than have the manufactured like clapping when you walk into the building. Ben Johnson got that.
Ben Johnson at Hallis Hall got the standing ovation from everyone up in the rafters.
Like Rand Carthon here in Tennessee. Got that.
That's a little odd. I would feel very uncomfortable if I took a job and that was the reception.
No, exactly. And
that was cool. That was cool of Liam Coen.
That was good. I mean, that felt like it was organic. Right?
Now I want to see Brian Schottenheimer going into the weight room or wherever when the Cowboys meet again and seeing if when he breaks the news to them if he has a similar response to Marcus Freeman got. I'm doubting that's going to be the case, Hud.